Right, welcome everybody. Tonight's show is going to be a little bit different because we have a large group of American teenagers in the audience. Thank you so much for being here, American teenagers. I have no idea how you're going to get the jokes, but South Africans, we're welcoming people. We want you to feel at home. So, just for you, very special, every few minutes we're going to stop the show to deliver a joke just for you, Americans, because we know you love laughing. So, let's practice one right now to start the show. Okay. What did Tennessee? The same thing as Arkansas. Anything? Anything? I didn't write these. I emailed an American friend of mine. That's about as good as it's going to get. All right, let's continue with the show. And we start news worth knowing in Cape Town, where a cement truck lost its brakes on Kloofneck Road a few days ago. Kloofneck is a steep hill on your way to Camps Bay.
Kloofneck Road, né? Ja.
And that truck came through like a white woman on Black Friday at Woolworths. That was full on. By some miracle, nobody died, including the people in the red car. And I have to say that this woman pedestrian there, she walks by the grace of God on these streets, people, because a second later and she was going to be at the Pearly Gates, which is incidentally somewhere else in Cape Town. Okay, here we go. What did Delaware? A New Jersey. I don't even know what these mean. Next on News Worth Knowing, a South African couple has gone viral after a man proposed to his boyfriend in a Checkers. Man, I love South Africans. You can propose at the meat section of a supermarket and get all these strangers gathering around, ululating, celebrating the two lovebirds. My heart! Now, some homophobes are unhappy about this moment of queer love and they're being mean about it online. Well, to the homophobes, if you're watching, firstly, why are you watching my show? You're not in Kansas anymore, sweetie. We're all friends of Dorothy on this show. And secondly, careful homophobes, if you're too mean, something may happen for this couple that you won't like. Remember what South Africans do for couples who are mocked for their proposals. Remember the KFC wedding? Next thing you know, we're going to have an LGBT KFC wedding for these two. If you don't remember, the KFC wedding was one of the best times in South African history, and I will never pass up an opportunity to talk about it. Hector and Nonhlanhla were married back in 2012, but it was not the wedding of their dreams because they didn't have the money to make it how they wanted. Hector in particular was not happy with the rings that he got for them, so years later, in 2019, he surprised Nonhlanhla with a new proposal and new rings at her favorite place to eat, KFC. I know, right? Gorgeous. Okay, and now I'm going to say something that the Americans are really not going to understand. So that video went out on Twitter, and then some know nothing, no good, grootbek, dikbek, failbek, throatbek, hoyo what the heck bek tweeter came after them. And I had to look up what tweeting in the past tense is. She twatted, SA men are so broke that they even propose at KFC. They have absolutely no class. I mean, who proposes at KFC? Now, that's vile and awful and classist and gross, but it also fundamentally misunderstands how when you love someone, you know their favorite things, right? You want to make those things special for them. I, for one, would like to be proposed to while elbows deep in a Spur 2-for-1 Mondays. And Spur, I need you to know that until you bring that back, there's no ring on this finger. I'm a single lady, so if you want me to be happy, do the right thing. Bring back 2-for-1 Mondays. It's what the people want. And don't show the Americans the Spur branding, because I don't need that happening on Twitter right now, okay? So this twatter was awful about Hector and Nonhlanhla, and South Africa did the most outrageous, beautiful thing. We decided as a country to say, no, we won't stand for that energy. Someone online offered to pay towards their wedding. Then another, and then 24 hours later, and I have to take a deep breath for this, Hector and Nonhlanhla had been offered 3 venues for the wedding, including 2 pristine hotels and Constitution Hill, wedding decor worth hundreds of thousands of rands, a wedding dress, wedding jewelry, VW, Audi, and Lexus all offered to chauffeurs, Zakespin 20 to perform, Kanye Mbau to MC, Kaya Mtetwa to officiate, Black Coffee offered to provide groomsmen outfits, food sorted, drinks sorted, they got cows and sheep and more than 50k homeware. Standard Bank offered to write 300,000 rand off of their debt, Capfin offered 50k towards the wedding, Nedbank offered 20k for the home loan, more banks gave money. The lottery gave 25k, Woolworths gave 15k, the wedding was broadcast on national TV and radio. Kalula offered free flights and 5 nights in Cape Town, which is why they went bankrupt. They were offered all expenses paid trip to Mozambique, a weekend in Sun City, and spa treatments. And the craziest part is, I've been telling you so many things, and now I have to stop, because we have to talk about other things. But I could go on and on, because this is like less than a quarter of the things that the KFC wedding couple was offered by companies and beautiful-hearted, everyday South Africans. And I mean, if that doesn't make you all just swell up inside at the care and generosity in the name of love, I don't know what will. But I'll be honest, it's also because it's South Africa's favorite pastime, which is giving a massive F you to the haters, baby. No DNA, just RSA. So be careful, homophobes, or this really may not go the way you want. All right. Wow, you used so much oil in your cooking, America is about to invade your kitchen. You only responded that way because it's true. All right. Next up on News Worth Knowing, Eskom is doing weirdly well at the moment. Like when your deadbeat dad gets a job and like keeps it for months. And it's nice, it's nice, but the kitchen table, everything feels a little bit sketchy, you know what I mean? Like the vibes are immaculate, but also untrustworthy. We've had bottomless electricity for ages now, and I have to say shout out to democracy, because that national election in May is the reason why the power is always on these days. We don't charge our devices the second we get home anymore. I haven't seen my magneto lamps in months. Eskom Sepush is being Eskom Sepushed out of business, RIP Eskom Sepush. And our grands have stopped praying for the power stations at church like their family. Do you guys remember that? Our grands spoke to God about Medupi and Kendall like they were children. Lord, we pray that you keep your loving watch over Cyril and Sia and Kusile Power Station. May they be in your prayers. Amen. But now Eskom has spoiled the vibes by requesting a 36% tariff hike on electricity next year for residents and municipalities, with a smaller percentage increase for the 2 years after that. So let's talk about these proposed tariff hikes, why Eskom is asking for so much, and if they will get their request granted. And let's start with who they are requesting permission for these hikes from. NERSA is South Africa's national energy regulator. Broadly, it's their job to make sure we all have enough reliable, affordable power, and that infrastructure is developed to make sure we have reliable, affordable power in future. NERSA is trying to make Eskom sustainable through a method called MYPD, not NYPD, don't panic. It's the multi-year price determination. Eskom has to apply for permission from NERSA to be allowed to make all the money they can make, because they can't charge whatever they want, because if they did that, then electricity wouldn't be affordable anymore, right? But Eskom is saying that NERSA needs to let Eskom increase tariffs so that Eskom can make enough money to cover their costs and build infrastructure to keep the lights on. NERSA actually rejected Eskom's tariff restructuring applications in 2020 and 2022. Now, when Eskom doesn't make enough money from tariffs, they need the government to cover the shortfall, which means taxpayers cover the costs. Eskom wants those who use the electricity to pay for the electricity, pay for play, right? Rather than just having taxpayers split the bill no matter how much electricity they got, which makes sense. But on the other hand, increasing tariffs means poor people suffer, right? They need electricity just like everyone else, and paying for electricity takes up far more of a poor person's budget each month than a wealthy person. Why should they have to pay more for the failings of Eskom? It's not poor people who caused the load shedding crisis. Poor people should not have to choose between electricity and food. Oh, and there's another thing you should know. Many municipalities aren't paying Eskom what they owe to the tune of 82 billion rand. Eskom is owed 82 billion rand by municipalities, which for the Americans here is like $10. Sorry, South Africans, I don't know whose side I'm on right now. The total debt owed actually went up by 15 billion rand in the last financial year. Mfuleni alone owes Eskom 8 billion rand. That's 8% of all the debt for the whole country on Mfuleni. No disrespect to Mfuleni, guys, but 10%. Y'all don't even have a mountain. Like, show me something. Electricity Minister Jose Nsorama said that at this rate, municipal debt will balloon to 3.1 trillion rand by 2050. And I'll be honest, I didn't even know that the rands could go that high, guys. That's like Zimbabwe monopoly money. That's high. You're only groaning because it's true. And that level of debt would cause Eskom to collapse, because that's the thing, right? Eskom needs this money to function at all, and they're not getting it. If Eskom can't spend to maintain its infrastructure, that infrastructure is going to break. So how can Eskom get municipalities to pay what they owe? The electricity minister has said that residents of indebted municipalities must be forced to pay what they owe. But what if people can't afford to pay that historic debt off, particularly as electricity prices go up? Must they just live without electricity and live dramatically worse lives? That feels like a violation of a ton of human rights, and it feels like the government should be acting to stop that from happening. And punishing municipalities as a whole by, say, cutting off electricity would mean that some residents who do pay their electricity bills get punished even though they're paying. So what do we do about all of this? Well, on the potential 36% tariff hike, the good news is that it hasn't happened yet. And there are public hearings for consultation and participation coming up that everyday South Africans can make their voices heard in. They're happening throughout November and December. You can easily Google where and when the hearings are happening in your province. And I really encourage everyone to get involved, because this issue is really important and affects us all. God created war so Americans would learn geography. That's not a joke, actually. That's Mark Twain. Right.